PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to PACTV Community News. We have a great show for you tonight with stories from Plymouth, Duxbury, Pembroke, and Kingston.
We'll take you to a store grand opening, give you a look inside an independent movie theater, and visit a music festival.
You'll get an update on an archaeological dig and learn some tips for the first-time homebuyers.
Our health and wellness segment brings us to high-intensity cardio, and Town Talk brings Kingston Town Administrator into the set.
It's going to be a great show, and we'll begin with a sailing story from Duxbury. Duxbury Bay Maritime School runs an access sail program to give the joy of sailing to people with disabilities. They teach, train, and sail by meeting the needs of the individual. PCN met up with the class to see more.
We came here with a class, a special needs class from the Pilgrim Area Collaborative to do the access sail program.
Thank you, Dan. Right. No problem. All right, so these are really easy to undo if you need to. You just tear this off. Okay. And once that's off, you can just pull both these parts out.
All right.
Oh, this has been great. I mean, I've been here since I was 14, and it's been an amazing experience. I mean, I've learned a lot over the years here sailing, and overcoming challenges and just taking people out for a fun, nice sail.
All right, so 2 hands on here.
I can't see anything.
Perfect.
That's true. That's why his mom got me a regular.
We have something called opposite steering.
We're going into our 10th year. It's grown from a small group of individuals, maybe 25, 30. And last year we had over 600 lessons.
The access sail program is a program specialized for kids with disabilities, and they have special equipment, boats designed for kids with disabilities, and they bring us out in the water and we have a great time.
Did they have a good time?
They had a fabulous time, and we all did.
Yes, we take out mentally and physically challenge people, of all ages. Whoever wants to come out and learn, the basics of sailing, we try and teach them, whatever they want to learn. And it just a few hours out on the water is great.
Look like a natural, Josh.
Hey, don't want.
But we had 600 of them places in our sailboats over the season of last year. Our season is June, July, and August, and we run 5 days a week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Come on, boy.
We're bound by the tide in that at low tide there's not a lot of water out in the bay, so we have to pinpoint our lessons to 2 hours before high tide and 2 hours after high tide. And each lesson is about an hour and a half. We leave a half hour in between lessons, as is the case today. It's happiness for a lot of these students. This is a unique experience in that, amazing or not, we have had and continue to have a lot of students that have never ever been on the water for a whole bunch of different reasons, especially those individuals that are wheelchair bound. Their aides or their family and so forth are just petrified in having them come out on the sailboats. We have the facilities, we have the capabilities, we have the crew, we have the proper seats and so forth to accommodate those individuals. So it's offering them an experience that's unique, and they love it.
Time appears to be running out for the archaeological team from the Public Archaeology Laboratory. with the start date for construction of the expanded Opachinski Athletic Field Complex only a couple of weeks away. PCN was able to meet up with Dr. Diana Doucette and many from her team of researchers to get what may be the final glimpse at some of their most recent findings.
Pretty adamant about it.
So here's another area. The amazing thing is that the town of Kingston elected to have all of this research done, and they didn't have to by law. A lot of projects that you have to have the research done by law because of permitting issues. But they knew that there was an important site here. So before these ball fields get put in and all of the trees come down and this whole thing gets ripped up, they wanted us to come in and see what was here. And we have gotten so much information, and that it's going to add so much to the archaeological record for this area, because very few sites in the Kingston area have been professionally excavated. Most what we know is just from people's artifact collections, like the people who collected artifacts from this field when it was put in. But we don't know the context. We don't know if it was found in one of these features, if it came from a burial, if it came from a house structure, So it gives us so much information to do it this way. Okay, this stone, I should call it a stone feature, because we're not exactly sure what it is. But much of it is just under the surface. It was brought to our attention because of a couple of the larger stones were visible on the surface, sticking up, and we can see almost a line of them going out towards the field. So we opened it up. We weren't expecting to find such a cluster of stones. A lot of them have been burned somewhat. It's actually unprecedented in this area. We haven't found a stone feature like this that we believe is Native American made. And because this area has never been plowed, it remained undisturbed. So it's possible this could be here just under the surface and never having been disturbed, and it could be thousands of years old.
Maybe just in the northwest quad.
Well, we're at 90. So.
The oldest artifacts that we have found that we know because of the style of them date to about 8,000 years ago. And then we've also found, so we have a lot of material that's dating to about 8,000 years ago, or 8 to 6,000, we call the Middle Archaic. And then we have probably the largest collection of artifacts is coming from what we call the Late Archaic, about 6,000 to 3,000 years ago. And under the best possible circumstances, this site will never be developed, and we'll be able to come back years from now when we have even more sophisticated instruments and material and see what's here. But that's probably not going to happen because the town's set on building their soccer fields. So we will, this is very important to the Native American community as well as the archaeological community. And we just hope that other people that hear about the site and on all the information that we were able to glean from it can learn that digging for artifacts and artifact collections and don't really give us a lot of information. We have to find it in context so that we can put it all together.
It is kind of
Buying a home for the first time can be a harrowing experience, even a traumatic event. The cost, the location, the moving, the packing, the cost. Did we mention the cost? PCN recently met up with a local real estate company that does their part to take a little of the fear out of the home buying experience and also helps to transition soon-to-be homeowners into a whole new life.
A common question that people will ask me is, what is the process of buying a house? For my first-time home buyers, I know that they're being bombarded by family, friends, people that they're working with, trying to give them advice on the best way to purchase a house. Everybody hears it's a buyer's market, it's a buyer's market. Right now, actually, it's quite the opposite. Low inventory is what we have, and it's a seller's market. But you should know that from a buyer's perspective, what you need to do in order to be prepared to buy a house.
The most important thing with home buying is educating yourself. The first time I went through the process, I don't think I had a clue. I was just trusting all my advisors. But then I became an agent myself, and I fully knew the process of home buying. So when I did purchase my first home, I knew what to expect.
Every time I have a first-time home buyer come to me, one of the things I always suggest is that they come and sit with me in my office and we go over the whole process. I want them to be familiar with the terms they're going to hear, the paper that they're going to see, the offer to purchase and what it looks like and what it feels like. One of the things that I also do in my office with my office manager is we teach first-time homebuyer courses. And we've been to the Department of Transportation, we've done them for QCAP, which is Quincy, in different towns like that. The same package that we use when we teach that class is what we sit down with our buyers the first time and go over the whole process with them. It can be completely overwhelming, but you want to enjoy the process. You definitely don't want to look back at this and say, that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. So this house that we're in right now was actually a first-time homebuyer's home. One of the things that they did is they did some little minor renovations inside cosmetically, and they added a little farmer's porch to make it their own. One of the things that they really love about this house is the proximity to get to the commuter rail and to the center of town. So that really worked out for them. So just know what your situation is. If you have to work in the city, then you might want to be concerned about being that close to the commuter rail. And if you like to be near beaches and all that, just keep that in mind. This house has a little bit of all of that, so that's why it was appealing to them.
First-time homebuyers can find the whole process of purchasing the home to be stressful and confusing, and what they try to do at Boston Real Estate Connect is take a lot of that anxiety and guesswork right out of the equation.
So as a first-time homebuyer, I didn't know how many people were really involved in me purchasing a home. We had 2 sets of agents, 2 sets of attorneys, a home inspector, an appraiser, all these people that have your best interest or that are fighting against you in the negotiation process. It's a little overwhelming as a first-time home buyer because you don't know the ins and the outs and you have to trust people to get you through because it is a roller coaster ride. There are ups, there are downs. It's very emotional. That's why you have to stick to your guns and know how much you can really afford and not get pushed over and spending, just $5,000 more because in the grand scheme of things, what's $5,000 in 30 years? Well, that could be you eating ramen noodles for every night for dinner versus, living the lifestyle that you once lived as a renter without all the extra stuff that comes along with being a homeowner.
Reporting from Pembroke, I'm Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News.
Servpro is a professional cleanup company for damages like water, fire, and mold issues. They recently opened a new office in Plymouth with an owner who has gone above and beyond for local veterans organizations. Owner Ken Matichek regularly donates parts of his earnings to support area vet programs. PCN stopped in to the grand opening event to meet Ken and hear more about his community commitment.
I'm here today to help celebrate Ken Matichek's grand opening here of Servpro in Plymouth, and also kindly to accept this donation to the Veteran Services gift account in town of Kingston. Ken, in the last 4 years, I think, has donated about $6,500 to the veterans in Kingston. And we utilize that in many ways in terms of helping veterans or widows with fuel assistance or back rent. In fact, just this week, I helped a young veteran who had fallen behind on his rent to catch up with the generous donation from Ken. So I appreciate everything that he does for veterans and admire his business ethic.
I'm a veteran. I spent 4 years in the Navy. I was a jet engine mechanic on the P-3 Orion, which is an anti-submarine warfare plane. And when I got out of service, I decided to look into eventually, hopefully, opening up my own business, which I was able to do. Basically, what we did was we moved from Maryland, moved up to Massachusetts. I opened up a business, Servpro. As I grew, my business grew, I was able to afford to donate more money. We came up with a program that donates $50 for every job that comes into Servpro. So anytime a customer calls, it doesn't matter for whatever it is. It could be a carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, duct cleaning, any sort of cleaning service, it's $50. Even if the job is only a $100 job, I still donate $50. If the job comes in and it's a referral from a real estate agent or property manager or somebody that could refer work within the industry, I donate $250 to the local vet program. In 2013, I donated $15,300. So far this year, I donated $4,900 that I just donated today. And back in 2010, we donated $1,700, which is a total of about $20,600. All the money goes to the vets. vets locally here in our area, and I'm going to continue to offer this program for years to come.
When Charlotte and Ed Russell found it more and more difficult to locate an independent film theater that wasn't all the way in Boston or all the way down the Cape, they decided to take matters into their own hands. That was 7 years ago. Now they've got 2 theaters in a somewhat unusual location.
Oftentimes, when people think of Plymouth Plantation, they think of, well, the plantation, the reenactments, the Mayflower. But as you make your way into the visitor center and down the first corridor, you'll find the South Shore's hidden gem for a certain type of moviegoer.
We're an independent cinema. We're the only one in the 50 miles between Hingham and Cape Cod. We offer art house films, foreign films, documentaries, a little bit different than the megaplex down the street.
What had originally started as an 8-week trial just to test the waters to see who might be interested in theaters such as these has over the years turned into the only game in town for independent film goers all along the South Shore.
My husband and I loved independent films, so we used to drive to Boston and we would drive out to the Cape all the time when the Nickelodeon Theater was still there. And I suddenly realized that the plantation had 2 theaters that weren't being used any nights or during the winter season. And it just seemed logical to bring in this whole independent films to this theater here because it filled a big gap.
Over the last 3 years, Ben Emery has been the theater's manager. In that time, he's seen the audience grow, thanks in part to the expanded roster of films as well as showtimes.
When we started out, we were doing just weekends. We've kind of expanded the calendar. About 3 years ago, we started going 7 days a week. So nobody had to think which days are they open. They knew that it was every day at 4:30 and 7, we're always having a show.
He's also had a hand in the technological upgrades for each of the theaters.
We used to run films just on Blu-ray, but recently we did a Kickstarter campaign, raised up a lot of money, and now we have a digital cinema. So the picture is super crisp, it's beautiful looking. The new audio system is 5.1 audio. It's phenomenal. It sounds like you're really there at the moment that it's happening. The projector is huge. It's a digital projector, and this runs off a server rather than the Blu-ray. So the movies are sent on a hard drive. Once the hard drives get here, they're, as they say, ingested into the system. We can now do previews, which we weren't able to do before. And so the digital signal just gives us that much more clarity, that much more of a beautiful signal.
We have a number of special events each year. We have directors and producers come in to talk about the films that they've done. It has been a tremendous success.
All the money that is brought in from Plymouth Cinema goes towards our educational programs, so it's a great support for Plymouth Plantation. Plymouth Cinema offers on Saturday nights, you can come and have our regular concessions, which are fresh-made popcorn every single day, the finest in snacks, and on Saturday nights it's beer and wine. So that is the night to come.
For Charlotte and Ed Russell, it's been a pretty successful run, considering that it was just 7 years ago that they approached the plantation's executive director with their idea.
And he said, great, we'll try it for 8 weeks. And we did, and it turned out to be a big success.
In short, 8 weeks turned into 7 years.
Yes, 8 weeks turned into 7 years. You're absolutely right.
Reporting from the theaters at Plymouth Plantation, I'm Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News.
Brewster Productions held a 3-day music festival in Plymouth this month to celebrate new and local independent artists. Brewster Productions is a grassroots, community-oriented live music and professional sound production company based right in Plymouth. The festival was held in 3 locations throughout the weekend, and PCN caught up with the festival at Plymouth's Hedge House.
The Plymouth Independent Music Festival is basically a celebration of local and independent music that takes place in Plymouth every summer. We've been doing kind of a big midsummer festival since 2007 when we started Brewster Productions. This year we have 3 days of live music throughout Plymouth. On Friday we have a barn show in Manomet. Saturday we have 2 stages at Nelson Park. And today, Sunday, we have an acoustic stage at the Hedge House lawn. And it's basically local, original music played by great singer-songwriters and bands. Back in 2007, we had the idea to put on a big all-day concert because I had played in a band in high school and we had friends of ours who played music, but we couldn't find a show anywhere to save our lives, basically. And so we decided to just put on a show ourselves and give local bands a chance to play on the waterfront. We work year-round doing various things, but in the summer we volunteer to put on a number of free concerts throughout the summer. Our whole team volunteers to produce and staff the whole thing. We pay the artists and we provide food for the artists, and we get some money through sponsorships, but we also need to raise some money through audience donations. And so that's why we have our little drum bucket over there asking for donations to help support the whole summer of music. So basically our main mission with all these concerts is to have a place to support the local music community, artists creating their own music, writing their own music, and we like to try really hard to provide a space for people to show off their original music, regardless of how many audience members they need to draw or whether or not they need to please the crowd necessarily. We think we have a wonderful local music community here in New England, and we're trying our best to foster that.
Our health and wellness segment brings us back to Plymouth Fitness with information on high-intensity cardio.
Hi, my name's Katie O'Connell, and I'll be doing this week's PCN Health and Wellness segment. Today we're going to be talking about high-intensity interval training. Today specifically, you'll see a little bit of what we have here for a program, Cardio Sport. So today what you're going to see in Cardio Sport is a lot of what you would see in a typical sports training practice, something like soccer. Here we utilize cones and soccer balls. Today, a lot of times we'll use other equipment such as plates or dumbbells. Today we're keeping it simple with cones. You'll see a lot of high knees. You'll see a lot of work in and out of the cones, a lot of agility and anything that you'd want to work on from an athletic performance standpoint. So high intensity interval training is highly efficient. It requires a little bit of time with more results. However, although it's a little bit less time that you put in for your workout, it doesn't mean it's any easier. A lot of times it's a lot harder of a workout for a shorter amount of time, but the results that you're getting are more of what you'll see and what you would want to see. Something like Cardio Sport is good for anybody. Anybody who wants to improve their cardiovascular ability could really benefit from something like Cardio Sport or any type of high-intensity interval training. Some of the results that people are going to find when doing high-intensity interval training are increased metabolism. They're going to have increased athletic performance if that's what they're looking for. You're going to burn more fat. You'll find that you'll lose weight and not muscle. A lot of people who are interested in cardiovascular activity and being healthy and increasing cardiovascular ability are afraid of losing muscle, and this is something that allows you to be cardiovascularly fit and not lose muscle. It is advised that if you're going to begin any kind of high-intensity exercise regime that you do get an okay from your doctor. There aren't a whole lot of cons. I won't lie. If you don't like to work hard, it might not be for you. If you have any sort of pre-existing injury or anything like that, there are ways of modifying a workout like this so that you don't have to miss out on the benefits that high-intensity interval training can give you. Thanks again for watching. My name's Katie, and this was your PCN Health and Wellness segment this week.
This week's Town Talk segment brings us right in here to the studio at PCN to talk to Kingston's Town Administrator, Robert Fennessy. Welcome.
Well, thank you.
Thank
nice
you for
to be
coming.
Here. I appreciate this.
Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple different things today to do with Kingston. And can we start with the voluntary water restrictions because it's summer?
Okay, and that's the key word is voluntary. And we're looking for people to conserve the water right now by having odd homes, do it on odd days, even home numbers on even days, between 5 and 7 at night or 6 and 8 in the morning. And it's voluntary. We may think that we have a lot of rain lately, but the water level is still low. So we want to make sure that we can spread it out over the rest of the summer and not have a drought situation.
So it does not affect people that have their own private wells?
Correct.
Okay, correct. So they can water whenever they want.
And again, what's the penalty? There's no penalty other than your neighbor pointing a finger at you and saying,
shouldn't be doing this. Shame on you.
Right.
Okay, all right, so that's that. Kingston is well known as a green community. And there's a lot of interesting information right now coming forward about Kingston, if you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, and a lot of times people think of Kingston only of the turbines as being the green community, and it's much more than that. Right now, we had applied for a grant and received about 2 weeks ago $114,731 from the Department of Energy in Massachusetts, DOER, and that reflects $197,000 worth of projects. The rest will be funded by other grants and other rebates. And when you look at that together, the cost savings to the town will not only be that $197,000, but it will reduce our energy bill by about $26,500 per year in municipal buildings.
What are the different programs that you're going to do with this money?
A lot of it is lighting. A lot of it is tightening up the insulation and other areas on the envelopes of buildings.
Okay.
So it's really geared only to energy consumption.
And energy efficiency. Okay. Right. So is this all existing buildings? Is it town-owned buildings? Is it schools? How far does this?
It's both. It's town-owned buildings and schools, which technically are town-owned.
The same, right.
But and it'll be spread out amongst the different projects that we put in for the grant. And our town planner, Tom Bott, did a great job putting that together for me. We're trying to see what we can do to continue that green energy movement in the town.
Now, as far as your turbines go, that's part of the green project?
It is.
Okay.
That obviously reduces the energy consumption as well as the carbon footprint in the town.
Right. Okay. That's great. Now, another green project that a lot of towns are looking at are solar farms or solar fields. And I hear that Kingston has that.
We are on the verge of finishing our request for proposals, RFP. We'll put the first solar farm in Kingston, right near the turbine.
Okay.
So it'll be a low impact issue, and hopefully it'll bring in revenue to the town as well as energy credits.
Okay.
In the metering program. So I'm looking forward to it, where it's a very convoluted and complicated process to go. It has to again go through the DOER to get approval before you even put it out to bid.
Right.
But we had done this in the past and didn't receive any advantageous bids from different groups. Hopefully this time we will. We'll be able to move forward on it and have that sited there.
So when you're trying to figure out the cost of a solar field, does the town have to initially put up money to create the field and then you get money? No. How does that work?
It's put on by the bidders who will install the solar panels and so forth.
Okay, and you will get a benefit from
rental
it, but they will also.
As well as credits.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Now, you have been the town manager in Kingston for just over a year.
A whole year this week.
Okay. So, tell me about your first year. What were the things that surprised you, and what were the things that you thought, oh yeah, this is what I thought would happen?
It's funny. A lot of the smaller things became bigger issues with residents. It could be the closure of the bridge or traffic in the center that generates a number of calls. And the bigger issues, were smaller because you can handle those.
Right.
But it's been a great ride
Yeah.
for 1 year.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I just entered into a 5-year agreement with the town, and so I'll be here for the next 5 years.
Excellent.
So I'm looking forward to that.
And we will have you back on set.
I love it. Thank
okay,
you.
great. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
information
Thank
today.
you.
Okay, well, thank you for watching this week's show. Replay times are listed on our website, PACTV.org, or you can catch us on YouTube by searching for the PACTV Community News Channel. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to receive previews and links to all of our stories. We'll be back next week for another edition of PACTV Community News, so we'll see you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again.